Welcome to Technically Marv, and technically, magnets are holding my server closet hostage. After moving into my house and setting up my server closet in my home office, I was faced with a dilemma. This closet that housed my Unraid server, networking gear, Unified Protect camera system, and my 3D printer was completely unsecured. So, what's a good-looking, tech-savvy guy like myself supposed to do when worried about curious kids, guests looking for a light switch, or burglars trying to get at my precious HomeLab gear? Over-engineer a solution, of course. I needed a solution that could accomplish three main goals: secure entry into my server closet, require little to no maintenance, and tie into my smart home system of choice, HomeKit. While I was brainstorming how I could achieve the three goals I set for myself, I came across maglocks. Electromagnetic locks, as the name suggests, are locks that use electricity to create a magnetic bond that is very strong, some being able to hold upwards of thousands of pounds of pressure. Most maglocks consist of two main parts: an electromagnet, which is attached to the door frame, and a steel plate attached to the door itself. The thing that really sold me on going the maglock route was the fact that they are fail-safe, meaning since they require constant power to stay locked, if the power ever goes out, the magnetic field collapses and the door is unlocked automatically. They also require very little maintenance, meaning my first two goals were met. With that issue solved, I started looking for magnetic door locks, which come in two variations: in-swinging and out-swinging. My server closet door is just a normal closet door, and like most interior doors in the US, it swings inward. I settled on this one from Amazon because it had a 600-pound holding force, which is way more than I need. I'll link everything in the description below, and just so you know, those are affiliate links, meaning I may earn a small commission at no extra cost to you. During my test, I felt pretty confident that the door was more likely to break off the frame before the lock itself gave out. It also came with all of the parts and pieces I'd need. With the first two goals met, next was trying to figure out how to get the lock installed and into HomeKit. Installation was fairly straightforward. It involved climbing into the attic and running the necessary power and control wires from the maglock to my server closet cable bundle. The kit does come with two wires, one for the lock and one for the exit button. However, since I needed to run the wiring a much longer distance, I had to substitute it. Luckily, it was all low voltage, so I went with some 12-volt doorbell wires, and since I planned to control the exit button manually instead of with the dedicated cord, I only needed to run one set of wires. Next was getting the hardware mounted to the door. As I mentioned earlier, the electromagnet gets mounted to the door frame. In my case, I was installing this indoors in a residential area, so my door frame had trim. To get the electromagnet to fit properly, I had to cut out a portion of the trim to fit it. After getting the electromagnet situated the way I wanted, I added some caulk so things looked better. However, I did need to add some brackets to help the electromagnet stay more secured to the door frame. I then worked on getting the metal plate mounted to the door. This was a lot easier since I could just screw it on. The last thing I did was add a eave door and window sensor to the door. While the maglock tells me if the power is on, it doesn't actually tell me if the door is physically closed. This gives me a true state of security in HomeKit. Once the wires were in place, I had to get the whole system wired up. You have a couple options when wiring up the lock itself, such as setting it up to be fail secure or fail safe. The main difference being that fail secure defaults to locked, prioritizing security, whereas fail safe defaults to unlocked, which prioritizes human safety and egress. I chose to wire mine up as fail-safe. Be sure to check your local fire codes for any egress requirements before you do anything like this for yourself. I wasn't personally worried about the potential attack vector of someone cutting power to the house, as my whole house is backed up by Tesla batteries and my server rack itself is backed up with its own separate battery backup. With the lock wired up and the cable ran to my server closet, it was time to figure out how to get everything into HomeKit. In terms of finding a solution to get it into HomeKit, there were a few options. With this being a 12-volt lock that operated in fail-safe mode, I chose to go with a Shelly 1 device. The Shelly 1 is a robust device that supports 12-volt through 240 volts. I also looked at Sonoff, but after buying both, I chose to go with the Shelly due to its smaller size. Shelly offers great wiring diagrams for all of their products, and once wired up, you can configure the rest in the web interface once it's operational. In terms of the actual wiring, it was relatively simple. I wired the positive from the lock to the O or output terminal. I wired the positive from the power supply to the I or input terminal and the N or neutral terminal. I wired the positive from the button to the SW or switch terminal, and I wired all the negatives from everything into the L or live negative terminal. This let me wire in the exit button to the Shelly, enabling me to control the lock from either Homebridge or the exit button itself. Great if I'm ever in a pinch or lock myself in the server closet without my phone. All of this wiring was made dead simple thanks to some nice quality Wago connectors. They make connecting wires as easy as possible. Once it was all wired up and powered on, I accessed Shelly's web console and finished the configuration. Starting in the timer section, I enabled the auto on timer and set it to 4 seconds. What this does is essentially make it wait 4 seconds before powering the lock back on. I figured this would give me enough time to unlock the lock by tapping my phone against the NFC tag and getting the door open. I also have one of my Pico remotes set so if I double press a certain button, it unlocks the door as well. With that in mind, 4 seconds should be plenty of time for me to press the button on the Pico and access the server closet. Next was accessing the settings tab and changing the power on default mode to restoring from its last mode. Then under button type, I set it to momentary, so it would act as a momentary switch, meaning you either push for on or you push for off. In my case, I wanted it to be a push for off. That's all the settings you need in the Shelly UI. I did add some overtons, such as setting an appliance type of lock in my case and giving it a device name. Once that was completed, I moved over to Homebridge and picked up the Homebridge Shelly plugin. Setting it up is fairly straightforward, but since I have all IoT devices segmented on a separate VLAN, I had to enable co-IoT and configure its co-IoT pair to be the Homebridge container that lives on my primary LAN. With all that done, it was a simple matter of just adding the server closet lock into HomeKit. Once the lock was there, I just needed to figure out how I'd get the lock to open with something cool like my phone. To do this, I picked up some NFC tags from Amazon, links in the description. In an update a few years ago, Apple iPhones gained the ability to use NFC tags as triggers, so I grabbed one of the tags and added it to my phone via Apple Shortcuts. With a dead simple shortcut like, if you detect this NFC tag, turn the office server closet lock off. Once this was configured and tested, I had to decide where to put it. I needed somewhere inconspicuous but reliable, and this Batman picture on the wall checked every box. It's at the right height, it's not going anywhere, and no one's going to walk up and tap Batman's head unless they know why. So I did what any good engineer would do, grab some box cutters and cut into the back side of it so I could get the NFC tag onto the opposite side of the actual image. This was so there was virtually no space between the phone and NFC tag. I also put it somewhere that I'd be able to repeatedly hit reliably with my phone, in this case, Batman's head. Put it all together and you have a completely over-engineered locking mechanism for your home lab. But that's the best part of being a home labber. You get to do fun, cool things like this. Put your cool home lab ideas in the comments below and let's talk about them. If this video was useful, hit that like button. If you'd like to see more content like this, then subscribe. I'm Marv, this has been Technically Marv, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.